Hey everyone, Correct Genes here, and today we have the Miwa JN. Now the Miwa JN is not a lock that was entirely designed by Miwa. It is actually a lock that is based off of a Kaba system, specifically the Kaba 20. The only real difference in the Miwa JN being the fact that I do not believe it ever implements the master keying type systems that Kaba tends to do with varying the shape of the keypin tips. And then creating thick and thin sections on the key so that only certain keys will allow the tips to go down to the correct depths. I do not think Miwa has that technology. Other than that, it is more or less the same lock. It has 4 pin directions, which you can sort of get a look at here. You have pins coming from the left and the right horizontally, as well as from the left and the right from the bottom up diagonally. There are a total of 21 chambers in the lock. 5 on all the quadrants except for the top right, which has 6. Except I believe it is standard, and the diagrams online indicate that usually there are only 3 pins put into each diagonal chamber, giving the lock in a normal lock a total of 17 pins. All the pins in this lock are standards, which in general for locks like this tend to make them a little bit more difficult because you don't get a lot of feedback to figure out what's going on. Compared to something like, say, the Gold V18, which has mostly mushroom pins, which give you a false set and counter rotation and tend to help you keep track of what's going on. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this lock clamped up and get it picked. All right, here goes nothing. We're going to start with tension in the top here. And we're going to have a go at the diagonal pins at the bottom. One on the left is binding. Nice click out of him. Little click out of 2. Little click out of 3. I don't think there's any other ones on that side. Gonna check the right side. 1 is springy. 2 is springy. 3. Switching to heavy tension here. Okay, I think 3 is also springy. And check the ones on the left again, because I think there's a little bit of a taper on these pins. That's not a click, that was just me slipping off. Right, I think I got a little something out of 1 there. Okay, I think 2 is not actually ready to set yet. He's sort of springing in and out a little bit. Okay. I think these are actually pretty close to set. They might just be sort of at the edge of the key pins. So I'm going to go ahead and take this tool here and start hitting the top pins a little bit. See if I can't figure out what's binding right now. Okay, 2 on the right. All right, got a nice click out of him. Not feeling any binding on the left. All right, I think that was 5 on the right. Got a nice click there. I'm gonna start at the beginning again. And that's all springy. Gonna check the left. Little something on 3, but I don't think it's actually set. All right, and the rest are springy. Let's go ahead and check the side pins. I'm using the hook of, this is a curved flag, so I'm using the hook of it on the left side, and sort of hitting it with the back side on the right side. That sort of seems to work best leverage-wise. Okay, nothing on 1. Okay, it's possible, probable actually, that these are set already. Sometimes these like to set sort of silently, just because They don't bind that hard, even though I'm using very heavy tension right now. Okay, nice click out of 3 on the left. All right, I think 2 is set. All right, little click out of 2 on the right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and switch to bottom tension. Start getting some better feedback from the top. All right, I'm going to use the right flag to work on the right side here. Nothing on 1. Yeah, come on, something's binding. All right, click out of 2. That was the second click out of 2, I believe. That was a click on 5. Got a little double click out of him. All right, 6 is loose. I think 5. I think 5 is set. 4 is either 4 is binding or something on the other side is. Okay, we'll click out of 4. Okay, that was a better click out of 4. Four just keeps clicking. He might not be binding fully. Okay, let's check the left side. Nothing on 1, 2, or 3. 4 is binding. I think I slipped off of him. Okay, 5 is binding. Nice click on 5. Another little click on 4. 3, 2, 1. All right, gonna go back to the right. At this point, all the pins are mostly set. They all just like to sort of hang at the edge. And, you know, not be set, so I have to kind of find out where they are. And it was 6 on the right there. And the lock is open. There we go. Now one thing I'll note about this is all of the chambers are actually a little bit offset from each other. So you can actually turn this lock 360 degrees without breaking it. I'll demonstrate that. I'm going to kind of press a tensioner down on the bottom so that the drivers that pop in can be pushed down. Come on. There we go. All the way around. Cool. All right, let's get it gutted. That is certain to be a probably longish process, so might as well get started. All right. So there's a clip on the back. I had to file down the tips of these pliers a little bit because otherwise they did not fit. But it also sort of means that they don't work super well. There we go, good enough. Little spacer rings. And the cord just pulls right out. Now, I could of course got this with a follower. You can see there's a C-clip here, and that will work just fine. These little things, I'll pull it in there. But with a lock like this, that is a massive pain in the ass, and so I'm not going to do it. So as you can see, what I've done is there's little bits of crimping around here on every single one of the strips that hold everything in, and I've gone ahead and I've filed that down. So all of these strips that hold the pins in will slide out. And so I'm just going to get the lock that way. All right. And hopefully it won't take absolutely forever, but it will. All right, let's get started. Okay, starting with the wrong direction. What am I doing? Okay, just gonna very carefully get this off so that springs don't fly everywhere. Come on, move. Okay, springs. Appear to have flown everywhere. Oh no. Oh wait, no, there's only 3 of them. I panicked for a second there. I was like, where'd the springs go? Oh no. Okay. Oh, I almost shit my pants. Okay, 3 springs. Alrighty. So yeah, this, in fact, both of the diagonal chambers in this particular lock only have 3 pins in them, but I don't think any of them are actually fully pinned. As it stands, this lock currently has a total of, I believe, let's see, 6 plus 6 plus 5 is 17 pins, which is pretty respectable for a Kaba 20. And you're going to get to watch me remove all 17 of them, so get comfy. Sorry, didn't mean to bring the lock out of frame there. One of these days I'll get good at not doing that. Let's keep these in order. So that's chamber 3. And these are chamber 2. You can see all of these pins are sort of standards, but they do, it's not really visible. They definitely do pick like they taper a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and say they're tapered. Part of the reason that it's probably because of that is because, of course, these are drilled at the top. They're hollow. And usually what that does is it widens out the diameter of the top a little bit. And that can result in a little bit of taper action. It's not usually that pronounced, but I definitely noticed it in this lock. Probably because there's so many pins in it, which resulted in there being a lot of things binding in between each one. Okay, let's get the second row out. All right, we have 5 springs. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the 2 chambers that are straight onto the pin, an interesting thing is that the springs are actually slightly different. These are just in the rear chambers. You can see that they're a bit shorter, and they're also a little bit thicker. So they have roughly the same spring tension, but different format. And to be honest, I'm not 100% sure why they do that. The stack height in those chambers isn't exactly different, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but it is something they do. All right, and now we just go through the process of gutting this whole lock. I could fast forward it, but you know, this is on YouTube, so if you guys don't want to watch this whole process, you don't have to watch this whole process. That's entirely your choice. If you want to watch this whole process and listen to me ramble about random shit, then that's up to you. I won't tell you how to live your life. You do you. But you know, I'll try to keep it entertaining. Who knows? Maybe I'll be silent. Maybe I'll keep talking. Depends on how focused I need to be. Because when I do talk, I tend to lose springs. And that would be far from optimal. I got a little nervous releasing the springs on the last one, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this the one at a time way. How have you guys been? You have a good day? Hope you had a good day. I picked a lock today. It was a neat lock. Had a bunch of pins in it. Required some really heavy tension. And sometimes just decided to open for no reason. Multiple seconds after picking the last pin. You didn't see that happen, but that happened every time I practiced with it. So you just have to take my word for it. It's a weird lock. Alright, we're about halfway there. Can you believe it? Oh, slightly more than halfway. I'm not here because I'm good at math. Springs and pins, do. So you can see so far that there's a good number of different key pins, different form factors of key pins. I'm not going to talk about them right now because I'm just going to go ahead and assume that most people aren't watching this part. Because seriously, who would watch this part? If you're here, I mean, more power to you, but come on, what are you doing with your life? Anyway, but I'll give you close-ups of all of these in just a minute here. Once we get this last row out, it's the home stretch. Another thing of note, which is a little bit interesting, is that some of the pins are brass, some of them are steel. Now the steel ones happen to be in the diagonal chambers, whereas the brass ones happen to be in the horizontal chambers. Of course, it is, a means of drill protection. It does mess with the binding order a little bit. The diagonal ones tend to bind first. I'm not sure how universal that is, but I would imagine it's a pretty common thing. Just because of the fact that the pins are different. Oh no, it's free spinning now. There it goes. Okay, that took forever. Let's go ahead and get a look at all this. Okay, so like I said, there's only really one type of driver pin, which is standard with the little cup. But you can see that there is, of course, steel ones and brass ones, the steel ones being on the diagonal portions, presumably for drill protection, although it's hard to say how much drill protection they would really serve, given the fact that they're hollow for most of it. But, they tried. Probably protects against crushing attacks as well. I imagine these pins, don't have a whole lot of meat to them, but given that there's so many, I don't really see that being a huge issue. And then we have a few different types of key pins based on their length. So here are a couple from the side. You can see that the base length of the key pins, which is the component of them which sticks out into the keyway, is a constant length, and so all of the different bitting gets applied to this top point. So this key pin is max lift, and this key pin is, I believe for the diagonal ones, actually the minimum lift. And then as we go to the longer key pins, we get some more interesting shapes. So you can see that this one is sort of the normal shape that you would expect, but this one has an interesting spool element on it that sort of graduates back upwards after you overset it, and then has this angle going back outwards at the bottom, which is interesting. Not 100% sure why there would be such a different key pin shape here. I mean, it would give different feedback after you overset it. Realistically, the tip of the pin is still the same size as the tip of this pin, so of course you can't really use it for, say, a master keying system like you would in other Kabas. The tips are all the same, so you can't use differing cut sizes on the key. Anyway, let's just refocus there. That's all for the Miwa JN, or also the Kaba 20, same system. Hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a good one.